Oh, yep. It's official.
Yeah, we are live. Give me one
Cool.
moment. My computer has to decide if we're going live. Okay. And we are live now. This is amazing. Okay, cool. So, all right. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. Today we have Miss Adelaide Benavides. Adelaide, if you don't know her, she is one of the busiest musicians in the Los Angeles area. She's an accomplished trumpet player, producer, entertainer, arranger. I mean, she does everything under the rainbow that involves music. Adelaide, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
So, Adelaide, why don't you tell us how you got started? First of all, a lot of people who've seen your videos see you sing, but I know you as a trumpet player and you're a very accomplished trumpet player. Can you tell us how you got started playing trumpet?
Well, I started in band in Texas, and band in Texas is a really big deal. And the reason is because football is the number one thing in Texas. So they never cut funding for band programs back home. So they start kids in sixth grade and they go hard all the way through high school. When I auditioned to be in band, I really wanted to play the drums, but everyone wants to play the drums. And if you didn't have piano lessons, you can't be in the percussion section. So I tried every instrument, and the only instruments I could get sounds on were the trombone and the trumpet. And I couldn't reach sixth position at the time. So by default, it was trumpet. And yeah, I just did the whole, the band programs, the jazz band program. I had to do marching band, which I could not stand, but I did it anyways because you had to.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of how I started with the trumpet.
So let's talk about, so you're in high school, right? And
Mhm.
so, you said you're doing the most of us were in high school, we're in it to get the football games free, we're in it to, we're in
I
it to,
didn't want to go to the football games.
yeah, but we're in it to, you know what I mean? We're in it to just, it's fun. Can you tell us what type of player were you in high school? Were you a very serious player? Like what are some of the things you struggled with as a young player?
Well, when I went into high school, I was actually the only freshman in the brass section in the top senior honor band. So I came in very competitive into it, and was luckily, with the top players in the school, which kept me pushing. It was a very competitive program. However, I was kind of an odd bird in the sense that I was a music fiend in high school, but it was all kinds of styles, from funk to jazz to soul to punk rock to ska. I mean, I went through every phase in the book, and I hung out with like the skater hippie kids, and none of them were in band. Like my best friend played the clarinet, and that was like about it. Um, so I was that student that like really loved music and took practicing serious, and wanted to be like top chair, top band, or as much as I could. But I didn't feel like band was really my place at the same time. During the summer, I would do like jazz programs at North Texas, or I went to Berkeley for one summer, and those were like really the places where I thrived. Um, but so yeah, I was definitely a serious band member, but not your stereotypical band member, I
were
guess.
you studying privately? And was
Yes, I took private lessons, and thank God for my private teacher. And that's why one of the reasons I teach privately today. I had a handful of private teachers for trumpet, voice, drums, all that stuff, and those people really influenced me. They were my outlets. Like my trumpet teacher showed me who Frank Zappa was, and showed me how cool it was to play trumpet, because then you could play James Brown songs and such. So, and I'm still in touch with most of them to these days. So,
That's awesome. So
yeah.
were you more? It sounds like you were more into the commercial part of music rather than a classical buff, or did you like indulge that as well?
I did the classical stuff. Jazz band was my thing. I really liked jazz band. I really had a hunger to want to do Latin music, but it wasn't until college that I was able to seek that out in the ensembles there. But love jazz, love funk. I was a funkadelic. Like I wanted to be in Parliament Funkadelic growing up.
So we are right.
Yeah, right. I would totally fit in. uh, but yeah, I was a music geek though. I had like I said, I hung out with the hippie skater kids. I had this hippie boyfriend, and we would travel to music festivals all over the country, checking out shows and stuff like that. So a bit more alternative.
Oh,
But I still love classical music, and I play classical music to this day. Like
yeah.
as a brass player, so much technique comes from that, and I love reading music. I love reading classical music. I find it kind of equivalent to like playing video games. Like, it kind of gets your mind off everything else, and you kind of zone in and go as far as you can before you die.
That's a great analogy, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. So
um,
no, I like all kinds of music. So
yeah, it seems like you fell in love with the instrument right away. Now, was it seems like because and I've noticed people that are as driven as you are and as successful as you are usually have that love for the instrument right away. Um,
yes and no. Sometimes I hate it. It's like a love-hate relationship.
yeah,
Sometimes it's like, I hate you.
yeah.
No, but I do love trumpet a lot. You know, when I got into it, luckily my parents listened to fantastic music. And at the time, I was in fifth grade, and the Mambo King soundtrack was
Oh
a big,
yeah,
and that's one of the reasons I wanted to play drums. But you also, there was amazing Arturo Sandoval trumpet stuff all over that.
he messed
So
us all up, didn't he? He messed us all up.
yeah, I know, right? And yeah, so that it was inspiring for that. I didn't really fall in love with the instrument itself, probably more until high school. I just liked the challenge of it in middle school. I grew up riding and trading horses. That's what I was supposed to do.
Oh
And,
wow.
and I was competing at age 6, and I was already, yeah, that was the thing. So in middle school, it was like I was still this horse girl, but I was in band and I was doing really well, and I liked succeeding in it.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until, like, you start, becoming a teenager, and you take your music that you like on as an identity. And then I really started embracing the instrument itself.
Yeah. I mean, so let's so graduation day's here.
Mhm.
All right, graduation day, you're in high school. It's time to go to college. Now, at that point, at say graduation time, were you saying this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life?
Oh, yeah. I knew by like sophomore year that
Yeah.
it was going to be, and definitely junior year. Like, the more music I listened to, the more musicians I saw on stage. That's what I wanted to be on stage. I wanted to, I was always the audience member, and I was just waiting for that to roll to reverse.
Mhm. So let's talk about stepping on. You went to Texas State, or
Hmm.
yeah, and we actually have a mutual friend that went to that school too. And so let's talk about Adelaide as a freshman. She
Okay.
has her horn in her hand. She's ready to get at it. Let's talk about her first week. Was it a game changer for you? Were you like, oh wow? What were some of the things that were really an eye opener when you walked on campus?
College. Well, oh man, college was so great. Well, one thing was the college I went to had a phenomenal salsa band, mariachi program, jazz band, and I was the only girl jazz major. Um, but I've always been a kind of a tomboy,
Hmm?
so I fit in real quick. I don't know. I think my boyfriend at the time was in the jazz program. He was kind of the top dog. So all the other boys, there wasn't like this weird sexual tension. I was like one of the sisters to them.
Yeah.
So just some of the greatest camaraderie, I don't say it, greatest friendships ever. And people that were enthusiastic about music and together. And us musicians, we get nerdy sometimes,
Yeah.
and cool to get nerdy with people. And to also have that freedom, as a young adult. And it was wonderful. We talked a lot of shit to each other and laughed and had a good time, and
Yeah.
it was wonderful.
So let's talk about your private instructor at the time.
Okay.
He sits you down. He sits you down, and he say, "Okay, this is what trumpet playing is.
Okay.
It's about the structure part of it." Let's talk about your first week. I mean, did he sit there? Did he pull out, I don't know what you were doing, the Caruso, the Arbins, whatever it was. Were you just like, oh, okay? Or what was it like for you?
I know, right? Well, I did have a number of private teachers,
Yeah.
and I'm a firm believer that everyone should, because every teacher definitely has their things that they really push on. One thing I noticed about trumpet playing that I was able to connect with it is, and I teach this with all my students, trumpet playing or brass playing is a lot like exercising your body or muscle work in sense, and you have to take it like that, stretches, warm ups, building endurance, blah, blah, blah. And I did that with training horses.
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn at a young age patiently. Okay, you warm up the animal, and then you do this, and then you build this, and then you get your workout going, then you bring it back down. And there takes a patience. It's not like you can just get on the horse and be like, yeah, we're gonna go,
Yeah.
So realizing that there was that kind of same method to approaching practicing and playing the horn, it made sense. And I feel like brass playing and singing too, especially the older I get, there is a discipline to playing it effectively.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the things that really came off the bat when you're trying to make sounds on the horn. You're like, this is hard. And then after 10 minutes, you're like, my lips feel like they're going to fall off my face,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was the first thing that came apparent.
Okay. And then you say you were in the salsa bands. Now, for me, when I got into salsa, I mean, that's the first time I was seeing E's, D's, and F's and G's on the page. And I freaked out. I was like, oh, wait, what is this? And I mean, it's so like, did the let's talk about that. Did upper register playing come easy for you?
I was never a super lead player.
Yeah.
Like, I often played, first part in band, like regular band.
Yeah.
Very rarely in jazz band did I play lead. I often played second. I liked having the solos better than being a screamer.
Yeah.
I was always more of like a Miles Davis fan, space melody than I was just about high playing fast stuff.
Yeah.
It seems like some people are kind of born like into it, like, oh wow, that just comes so naturally you to play high. And I definitely have to work at it. Even now to this day, if I know like, oh, I have a hefty gig coming up, I better be doing like tons of lip slurs and bends and blah, 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 if I want to have some chops for it. But I still don't consider myself a lead player at all.
Well, you could have fooled me. So
that's because I play my crypt licks. I know the ones that'll work on stage.
And then, so what? As you talk about discipline, I mean, in college, I think that's a lot of young players don't understand that's where if you have discipline, you either get it really quick or you just don't, because it's a structured environment and there's protocol to everything. For you, was the practicing, you're like, okay, well, this is no big deal. I can do this. I can practice 4 hours a day. I can do, was that something, or were you just like, oh, now I got to practice 4 hours a day?
I didn't practice. I progressively started practicing more and more like high school, and then college. I really started practicing a bunch, especially because it was like assignments, from your teachers. You got to pass this off, pass this off. High school, same thing, because state and region were a big deal in Texas. So it was a lot about practicing that, turning in tape assignments, cassette tape assignments. Yeah, that sounds old.
That's okay. I'm right there with you.
I know, right? Yeah. So, kind of forget what we're getting at with all that.
Okay. We were just talking about your practice regimen in college. Were you like, okay, this is no big deal?
College. Yeah, definitely more in college. I think part of it too that helped is, this is totally kind of outside of music, but my mom was a pretty liberal mother growing up. And I didn't party that hard in high school, but I knew what it felt like to drink a few beers or this or that, before I graduated high school. And I'm kind of happy I did, because lots of people, when they get to college, especially like your typical goody two-shoe band kid, gets to college and they're like, whoa, frat parties, like, And by the time I had gotten to college, I had already, had a little bit of fun. So I was like, no, I'm gonna stay home and practice.
Yeah.
So definitely took it a lot more serious in college.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and even with my students now, like, I start with kids that are really young, 6 7 years old, and the parents ask me the same thing. They're like, how much should they be practicing this with? I'm like, they're starting off, it's young, take it slow, don't make it to the point where it's too much of a chore yet. When it needs to be the chore, it will be apparent.
Yeah.
And, so
And
yeah.
I see music the same way. I mean, when it has to be done, it has to be done. And I mean, that's refreshing that you say that as a teacher. You're like, look, it's fun right now, whatever, this is what I think is reasonable, and then we'll progress from there. So,
Yeah.
um, let's talk about Adelaide as a senior in college. It's time to graduate, and it's time to go out in the real world. Why Los Angeles?
Well, I came to LA for a few reasons.
Yeah.
One, I came to do my master's degree, and it was the only school that had the program that I was interested in. Cal State had a program in Afro Latin music. So I came here to do that. I knew I wanted to do my master's. And I wanted to work in the Latin music scene. And Austin, where I'm from, just wasn't the place to do it. It's the live music capital of the world, but it's really difficult to make a living off music there.
Yeah.
So I was hoping that the two worlds would kind of work together and move out here. And luckily, I had a couple of decent breaks. And yeah, so that's why I think LA is one of the only places you can do that, because I mean, you have the film industry, you have, festivals, you have casinos, you have Disneyland, quinceañeras, private parties. There's so much different facets of entertainment that you can, try to get involved with.
So you're working the town in Los Angeles, and you're in a very competitive demographic, and not only as a musician, but Ann King is out there. I mean, you not only as a female, but you have competition as a female as well. You, like I said,
And
Ann
King
King,
is
you have
amazing.
you have
Yeah.
all these amazing female trumpet players that you are competing or have to play at that level. You know,
Mhm.
and so it's not only just you're not only there's also female competition, and
Definitely.
so now you're there, and you're like, okay, I got to start making a living. I got to
Yes.
start, my rent is due on the first of the month. What went through Adelaide's head when it was time to start earning a living and start getting things rolling in? What was her plan? Did she have a plan?
I know. Well, the plan was to, start working and gigging enough by the time I finished my master's.
No.
What ended up happening was I started working with mariachi divas my last year in school. Um, Mariachi music was not the thing I came here to do,
Yeah.
but they put me to work full time. And I learned a lot about show business here in LA through working with that group and working with Cindy Shea.
Yeah.
Um, so and man, going back to people like Ann King and even Cindy, I don't even consider myself to their caliber of trumpet playing. Me, Ann King, wow,
And like I said, Deb Wagner's out there. There's so many
there's out
great
there.
trumpet players out there.
Yes, there's a handful of people.
Yeah.
But it seems you gotta find a gimmick here in LA. So, and it took me a long time. So I don't. I mean, you can look at them as competition. I want you to be a better trumpet player. Da, da, da. I think no, you got to think, how can I stand out as my own individual trumpet player or artist? I sing more these days, it seems, in the trumpet stuff, and then I'll do a little bit of trombone stuff and rapping or this or that. So my gimmick was, or artist thing was kind of incorporating all that stuff. If I didn't do all those things, I couldn't even come close to people like, the same circles as Ann King
Oh.
and them. They're just, I mean, ugh, amazing.
Yeah. So one thing I really, and I said it before the show, and I'm going to say it probably 4 more times. Your work ethic is just outstanding. You don't stop. I mean, and the thing is that you know every time, I mean, when I first met you, um, it was during the holiday season, and you were, and I saw you at the Galleria with Dan Wagner, Bella Brass. And then later that night, I saw you. We were in South Central, the Santanera gig, and when I finally got to mention, you're like, "Yeah, this is my fourth one today," and I have four all week long. And the thing is that I don't think hustling's the correct word. I think it's the drive. You're like, I have to, I have to keep things going. I have to think. Tell me about how you started as even as a trumpet player, saying, okay, these things have to line up, and this is what needs to happen for me to earn a living in Los Angeles. What was your method on how you started putting all that stuff together?
Well, part of the method is going out there and meeting the people that are in the circles that you're kind of wanting to work in, getting the word out. People being like, well, hey, I play trumpet, I do this stuff. So there's a method of getting people to know you. Then once you figure out the circles that you're trying to infiltrate, you want to figure out the common repertoire that you need to know so that you can be functional in those circles. So luckily, coming from my undergrad being in jazz, my master's being in Afro Latin music, and then also all the pop and top 40 stuff, I kind of, was able to dip in different circles and then kind of figure out, oh, well, I need to make sure I'm up on these songs or this or that. And then just after a while, if you keep your nose to the grindstone, you keep getting the calls. And I when I go back, I do clinics at my old college, and I can't emphasize this enough. Show up on time, be prepared, be easy to work with, have a good attitude. Those things go a long way, because if you can stay consistent in that, people will call you.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many musicians are out there working that cannot cover all those grounds. And I mean, playing your horn is last in the list in a sense of importance.
Yeah.
You need to be dependable as a worker.
Right.
um so if you can keep that going, there's no reason you shouldn't be working. And appearance, I mean, it's LA, you gotta take care of yourself a little bit. It's all part of the game.
It's funny you say that. A lot of people, even now that are in college, saying I want to go to a place like Los Angeles or New York City. Those demographics have a look, they
Mhm.
have an identity, um, and LA is. I worked LA when I was younger, and it was about, can you read what's on the page, you
Mhm.
know, and I mean, for some demographics there. But
Mhm.
one thing I wanted to ask you, Adelaide, is I hear this a lot from a lot of the people I do webinars with. There is a certain type of person that works a lot in LA, and it's the type of person that knows how to adapt and deal with people. I mean, because in LA there's a lot of strong personalities.
Mhm.
And can you tell me how you figured that out right away and said, yeah,
Yes. And what's crazy is there's so many different flavors of it, especially in the different circuits you work with. I definitely get a different vibe, off some of the more Latino gigs, and that could be anywhere from the audience to the bosses than I do when I'm doing like the Armenian Persian gigs and and so you do have to be adaptable. And the same thing even goes when you're teaching, people learn differently. So yeah, I think you gotta be a little bit flexible. You gotta leave your ego at the door. I think that's one of the most toxic things in the situation is when people start to let that get in the way. um so yeah, working with people, and I'm from Texas, we're pretty friendly, we're pretty open to people. I did notice, like when I first got here, like there were a lot of circles that instead of immediately welcoming, it's like you had to prove yourself that you were okay to be there, which was kind of backwards. I was used to like, hey, you're cool with me till you piss me off.
right,
But here it's like, well, who are you? And then they're like, oh, okay, you're cool, we're good. um
right,
so it was definitely a different vibe from that. and it can get you down, and it can get frustrating. Sometimes maybe the ego is it. Like sometimes I get jealous of people that do have an ego, because I'm like, man, they must never get down, or
Yeah.
maybe it doesn't get to them the way it does to me sometimes. I do care a little bit too much about what people think.
Well, you, as again, like we're talking about the drive, we're talking about you, like I said, you don't stop. Like if anyone goes on any of your social media pages, there's something there every day, almost
Trying,
every, you know,
yes,
and
and
you know,
it still sucks. Like my
no,
social game is still like not where it needs to be.
well, could have fooled me. So anyway, well, what I'm saying is that you have that drive to succeed, and I've noticed in a lot of successful people working in Los Angeles and major demographics like that, you have to have that drive to succeed. There is, it's just like, so let's talk about Adelaide going from just being a side person to saying, well, you know what? I'm going to be the boss. I'm going to book the gigs. I'm going to, set up the shows. I'm going to do this. Let's talk about that transition, because I see you at Disneyland. Oh, when it was, I saw you at Disneyland. You're there, twice a week, you know?
It varied. Yeah, I had a
Yeah.
couple different bands at Disney.
Yeah, and then you had, on top of that, you had like four other different bands. You had a bachata band, you had a salsa band, so let's talk about going from just being a trumpet player
Uh-huh.
to being the boss and
The
being
boss.
a band leader, a successful band leader.
Oh yeah, that's I think the transition. I think I've always been kind of a boss. I've always been like a bossy little girl, and I think part of that had to do with like training horses. Large, heavy animals. I whatever. I just had to learn how to stand my ground. And even in school, like projects, I'd always just kind of be like, "It's cool. I'll just get it done myself and do it." But the successful part took some time. um it's trying not to take things personally, trying not to react emotionally. I think females were even more prone to do that. And then as a female boss, as soon as you show a little bit of that, you get immediately labeled as being difficult to work with. Where I feel like in some instances, if a guy said certain things I said, they'd be like, "Oh no, he's just the boss." Like with me, it's like, "Oh, she must be PMSing." Nah, dude, tuck in your shirt, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like iron your clothes before you show up to work.
All right.
Um, but
Right. No, you're absolutely right.
yeah. And then there's also the fact that when you're working on your own project or your own show, you take it so personally that when it doesn't go your way, or if something isn't up to your standards, you take it emotionally, or you maybe get offended by the fact that the other people don't care as much as you do about it.
Mhm.
But that's the thing, it's like no one is going to care as much as you do about it. It's your project, it's your vision. So it took me a lot, all the way into my 30s, to realize, trying to find that balance of getting upset about something, not being able to let it go, learning the right time to talk to people or musicians, not reacting on stage, instead talking backstage about it. And then each musician, you have to approach them differently. Like there's certain people that you could go up to and be like, "Hey dude, you totally blew that solo, you know that," and they're gonna laugh about it. But then there's somebody that you could say that to, and they'll be like, "Oh my god, I'm never working with you again," you know. So all of that stuff, and even to this day I'm making mistakes as a band boss. And it's so important to me, like, certain decisions or certain things that come up, I can really sit there for a while and be like, "Man, did I make the right decision? Like, I don't know if I felt good, or this person's upset. Did I, maybe I need to rethink what I did because this person reacted in such a way." So it's so much like psychology, and and stuff into that was the really learning about it. And like I said, still to this day, um a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
But I've always been that person that's one to be like on boss control. I have certain, but even with my songs like that I'm writing, like, no, I can hear all the parts, it needs to go like this, blah 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 blah. There was no one doing that.
Yeah.
um but it's it's stressful, and there's really, being a female boss is like, there's no one really gets it except other female bosses.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, like, I'll sit down with another female, and it's like, man, like, we just have to have like a session where we just complain about shit. And it feels great.
Well, I just I one of the things I heard about Adelaide when I was researching this and stuff, because you and I have a lot of mutual friends, and the thing is she's all business. She's all business. Like, when it's time to do the show, it's all business. And that's the way it should be. Because you're there to work. You're not there to
But it's
goof
supposed
off.
to be fun too. So,
Right.
but you have to find that balance so you don't lose the disrespect.
Right. And
Or
they said she's all business. She's focused. That's the word I want to use. Focused.
okay.
A lot of people say that about you, that you're very focused when you're on stage, even before downbeat. You're focused. You're in the zone, right? So let's talk about for those young people, again, those young female band leaders who want to. What is the kiss of death, as in your opinion, as a sideman, and what is the kiss of death as a leader?
The kiss of death as a leader is hooking up with a fellow band member.
I was waiting for you to say that one.
I know. I mean, I'm not saying that I did it or anything. But it's just like the Fleetwood Mac situation never goes down right. It screws up everything. So yeah, you have to keep your private life private. That's the kiss of death, is letting any of that cross over into work.
Right.
And it can be tough because as artists, you make music with people, you're opening up, you're becoming vulnerable in an artistic way, and it's easy to catch feelings for people. So that's definitely the kiss of death. As a side man, that's a good question. I guess the sideman and kiss of death could be overstepping your bounds. Like, know your place. You're there as like a worker. Show up, be reliable, do your thing, and then kind of keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
And if they ask for your opinion, if they ask for help, always be extra helpful. Like, sometimes when I'm with the Mariachi Divas, like, I haven't played with them forever, and I don't remember lots of their music, so I feel worthless. So I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go get everyone a soda. I'll be back.
That's awesome.
All good. Like, so you can do certain things like that to be like outgoing on the gig, but as a sideman, you should never be like, hey, you know what you should do to your show that would make it better.
Know your role. That's a lot of guys, a lot of our friends say that, even the studio guys, just know your role and know what your place is. And so you're this leader now. Not only do you have responsibilities to yourself, you have responsibilities to others. It's just like not being a sideman is you're worried about getting paid.
Okay? Yes.
Now being a leader is I got to worry about getting paid, and I got to worry about paying others.
And everything. Yeah, sometimes as a sideman, when I see someone stressing out, I'm like, it's not my gig.
But you could understand now. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people do not understand the position a leader is in, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And then let's talk about your opinion on what a good leader should be, a good band leader.
Okay. A good leader sets a good example. So, like I said, if they expect other people to show up on time, they should. If they expect other people to give 110%, they should. So definitely gives off, the right work ethic. I think that they're humble to the people that are in the group. They're appreciative of the talents, the things that they offer, but but still with like a dependable strong kind of character that makes them feel like makes other people realize that they are a leader. They can be counted on. Like, you can count on me to pay you. You can count on me to look out for you. That you, like, if we have a 12-hour gig, I'm gonna make sure you get fed that day. Stuff like that. And just, yeah, I'm making sure that I really try to tell my band members, like, hey, you did a great job today. Hey, like, I appreciate you. You gave 110%. I think little things like that as a leader go a long way.
Awesome. So I think that's important too, is as being a leader, to being approachable, is being the person that if there is an issue, you can come and talk to me instead of writing how upset you are on Facebook. Now, one thing, you as because now you're doing the Selena tribute show, and now you're doing costumes. You're doing all this amazing stuff right now. You're doing music videos, which I highly suggest everybody, as soon as this webinar is over, go to Adelaide's Facebook page. And again, Adelaide's like the nicest person on the planet. She's so approachable. So even if you have, but go on her and watch these videos, because the amount of work it must take to do the costume change, to sing, because you do Celia Cruz, you do Selena, and you do Gloria Estefan.
And Shakira.
Yeah, and J-Lo. And it's like, that is a lot of work, and that takes a lot of preparation. Let's talk about how you're like, okay, I'm going to take my show, I'm going to take Adelaide to another level. There's Main Street Disney, which is great. I love that. Now that's gone, but I'm taking Adelaide to a different level. I think one of the things I really admire about you as a professional is that there is a goal. There's not, oh, I'm just going to work LA and make a living. No, there is a goal. Definitely. And I think a lot of successful musicians like yourself, there is always a bigger goal. And I see you striving for that goal like every day. Let's talk about that big goal.
Oh, the big goal is I want my own original music to just be heard internationally, and I want to perform it internationally. I want to travel, and I want to make enough money doing that I can just buy a rad ass house that I can hang out with in between playing my music.
He said rad. That's awesome.
Yeah, I want a rad badass house. That I can just feel like I want my sanctuary there, and then I want my other happy places on stage, and I want to do my own music, like that was always the goal. But I got sidetracked with the working and paying bills and learning how, all the cover stuff. And then the reason I did all that cover stuff with the costumes is I found out, like, if you put a wig on, you can charge like 3 times as much. Yeah. So I was like, well, give me some wigs. Yeah. So yeah, that is the ultimate goal. I want to see the world, and I want to play my music.
Well, you also have a line of clothing now. I mean,
that's amazing. It's not mine. Yeah, but yeah, that's sponsored by clothing.
Yeah, so it's like the merchandise part of it. Like I said, the entrepreneur part of Adelaide. She's like
today, and I'm behind. Like like I'm so minuscule. And like same thing with the hair. Like I got shampoo sponsor, I got the clothing sponsor, but still, like, compared to these kids in their 20s, my game is whack.
My game. Like I said, you could have fooled me. Yeah, because you were just in San Diego doing something, and like, and again, let's talk about like COVID. COVID slowed everything down, but again, if you go to Adelaide's page, she's working twice as hard.
I tried to. So, COVID messed me up. Yeah. Like.
So let's talk about that. Like, COVID hit, but and then there are some people that see this as opportunity, Yeah. And so let's talk about that. COVID hit. I saw you working twice as hard, putting twice as much content out. So what was your mindset there?
Well, when COVID hit, I was booked through the end of September, like at least 3-4 shows already in the calendar through the end of September. I was even supposed to be at Knott's like 5 nights a week. Like, it was crazy how many of shows just went. Now when that happened, so it was dealing with that, like, oh my gosh, I was building this momentum, all these things were coming, blah 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 blah, now they're gone, and that was really super upsetting. I always feel like I'm running out of time. So then it was like, okay, well, I had a really great friend who had a studio, and I had some stuff that I was kind of been writing, and my guitar player Alejandro Blanco, we were just like, well, let's just start writing. So we started writing, things were just coming together, and the songs were coming together, and then you can't release anything without a video these days.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'm just gonna take this pandemic time to do a chunk of new songs, put videos out from, and I waited. Like, I wrote a bunch, started stacking videos, and then I'm still finishing stuff up now, so that it would be like, normally people say, oh, you don't want to release a video maybe every couple months. And I was like, man, I'm gonna at least release one like every 3-4 weeks tops, and just be like, boom, boom, boom. And maybe eventually somebody will be like, hey, and have them be quality videos. So that's just kind of been my goal. Like, I'm really trying to make a splash that hits the right person, because, like, as you said, I'm doing all this stuff on my own. The videos, the producing, the tracks, the blah 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 blah. I really want someone else to start helping me do this stuff. That has some money.
You're right.
So, yeah, so and that's the thing, like, lots of this stuff people are capable of putting out. The whole record industry is another game. She's still trying to figure that out. They want almost all this stuff done these days now. So the idea is, well, maybe at the end of this, it'll be enough sparks to catch fire in right place.
Yeah.
It does feel good to finally be doing more original stuff and focusing on that. I think a lot of people didn't realize that, oh, well, this girl, like, she went to school, she studied, like, she had other aspirations besides singing Boogie Oogie and Como La Flor all the time, like, so that definitely feels good. And if it wasn't for that, I'd be going mad. Like, even to this, and that's kind of my drive. Like, a couple of days will go by, I'm like, oh my God, we haven't been working on any music. What's happening with this? It's not going anywhere. We need to do something. Oh my God, my life has no worth, like. So I think I'm a little neurotic. Is part of the work ethic is probably an unhealthy aspect of my personality, trying to deal with this.
Right.
I do live alone. I don't have kids. I'm not married, so so much personal spotlight just goes on the fact, okay, well, what am I doing with myself and my life?
So, Adelaide, we talked about this earlier, but I would like to talk to you because I think you understand this more than anyone. It doesn't matter who you are and if you're a young person and you have aspirations to go out to sunny California, that's great, but it's not, you're going to get real good and sit next to Wayne or sit next to, no, the thing is, you pay a price.
Pay your dues. You have to pay dues.
You pay a price. Let's talk about the price you pay to be as busy as Adelaide or to be as successful as Adelaide. Let's talk about that price. A lot of young musicians don't understand there is a price you pay. And what is that price?
Oh, there's so many different prices you pay. Like, if you're even just talking about straight up money prices, you have to invest in yourself to make more money. So, I mean, my videos cost money. Getting my hair done costs money. Getting, the outfits and the clothes. Now, I am great at tax write-offs. Music business class taught you about all that stuff. So there is the cost of investing into yourself if you want quality, So there's that. There's the investment of time, and allotting it aside to, like, okay, well, I have this show coming up. I need to make sure I have all these lyrics memorized by then. So for me, and school kind of taught me this. It's like, well, I got to know these 10 songs by 2 weeks. So every day I need to be doing a little bit of it, because if you just wait till the 2 days before, most likely you're going to forget the stuff on stage. So there is the discipline of preparation, which takes time. There is the discipline of just relationships. Like, I don't do things, well, lately, I mean, prior to COVID, Fridays and Saturday nights were, and holidays. I mean, I've worked every Thanksgiving and Christmas for the past 5, 6 years. I haven't been going home for the holidays. I am the lost child to my parents out here in California. So you make the sacrifice of family and friends. And even as a female, like, my dating life hasn't been too great because musicians are hard to date as it is. And females, I'm not gonna be cooking dinner at 7 o'clock or doing their laundry like I'm not the ideal girlfriend.
Right. You're at Vaughn's at 3 a.m, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Grocery shop, yeah.
Foods, and I kind of talk like a guy sometimes too. So I mean, tons of sacrifices, for sure. But if it's something you really want, it's what you do.
No.
You know, I haven't had children. I think kids are cool. But I don't think that if I had a kid right now, I'd have to put my music on complete stop.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think, like I said, they think it's, you go to LA and you do some right moves, and then you're sitting at Capitol Records, and which you have done. You have been at Capitol Records recording.
Yeah, with that was cool.
And it's like, that's not what it is. And I think it's not a deterrent, but to be realistic. And I think that's the whole point, as far as you being an educator, to be realistic with your students and say, hey, look, you're going to pay a price. Nothing's for free, or nothing's easy.
And it's always great. Like you said, I was at the Grove and then went to South Central to do, a cumbia gig. Now, the cumbia game was more fun, of course. But, like, they're not always going to be winners. But shoot, it sure beats sitting at a desk doing computer work. Any chance or opportunity. And I think we're all realizing that more than ever. Because there are a few gigs that are coming back that are like terrible gigs that everyone would have been like, hell no, we're not doing that gig. And now we're like, I'll take it.
Yeah. You're appreciative for what you have. So Adelaide, I have some questions here. If we can take the next 15 minutes so I can ask you some questions.
Sure.
Cool. All right. So let me just open my little questionnaire thing here. So, okay. This is from Jamie. Oh, Jamie. She's out of Toronto. She's a trumpet player out of Toronto.
Oh, okay, Jamie.
Okay,
I love Toronto. I want to go there. One of my best friends lives there.
It's an awesome town. So Jamie asks, Adelaide, I noticed that you sing, you dance, you play trumpet, you play trombone. How do you practice all four, and how do you stay on top of all four?
I do a lot of cardio. Is one thing. Like, I always run before a show, because to be able to do all four on stage, can get really out of breath. And especially like the older I get too, like it takes me longer to warm up. So that's one thing, is to be able to do all four, run. Because just singing and dancing at the same time. So that, and then just practice, fundamental trumpet stuff is whenever I can, get the most out of your practice sessions. And with the singing stuff, same thing, warm-ups. In LA, you do a lot of driving. You're in the car a lot. Yeah. So if you take that time to just be doing vocal stuff the whole time, like, there's 45 minutes of vocal workout.
Yeah.
It's, like I said, you just approach it like exercise.
Oh, cool.
Like you're training for a 5K. Same thing.
This is from David. He's actually a former student of mine in Chicago. He's at Champaign. He asked, Adelaide, what were some of the challenges when you got to Los Angeles and finally realized that you have to play at the level of all those LA heavies? What did
Well, you don't have to play at the level all those heavy. The thing is, what I knew going into LA, I wasn't coming here to be the next Wayne Bergeron or the next Ann King. No. If I said, hey, I'm gonna sit here for 4 hours every day and play my horn, definitely I could work up to that.
Yeah.
But that wasn't my ultimate goal. Like I was more in, singing and performing and some trumpet stuff and writing and stuff. So it took a while to even figure that out, figure out your place, who you are as an artist, and what are stuff. So yeah, I mean, if anything, seeing all those heavies kind of was like, oh, sets your back a peg or two, and it makes you reevaluate. Well, what are your goals? What are you trying to do? So I guess that's it.
Okay, cool. All right, we have one from this is from Rick. Rick is out of Las Vegas. He asks, Adelaide, going from musician to band leader, how did you go and get the good gigs like Disney? How do you go about getting the good gigs? What was your strategy?
Well, sometimes you got to take bad gigs to get find the good gigs, for one thing. With Disney, I lucked out because I had already been playing with Mariachi Divas there, and they were looking for a Latin band. I left Mariachi Divas on good terms. I can't stress how important it is that if you are going to leave projects, always leave them on good terms, because you never know in the future how you can still come up. So I got a recommendation with Disney because their boss was like, oh, well, hit up Adelaide. She has a band. And I did an audition. Mm-hmm. So there was that. The more good gigs you get, the more legitimate you look to get more good gigs. Right. So there's that. There's also spend some time into making a legitimate website. Spend some time into getting good video of yourself. It's scary how much video is always being done, and you're like, oh man, that sucks that that's online. So if that's the case, find some good footage of yourself, make some videos, make the website, so that when you're trying to get these good gigs, you're coming at them like a pro, like, I have all this stuff, this is who I am, and impress them. People listen with their eyes. They're not going to listen to your track maybe the first 30 seconds before they're like, yes, no. But if you're flashing all this fancy shit in front of their face, they're going to be like, oh, they must be good. So right. I think that's a big key to maybe getting some better gigs. Would be my advice.
That's a very good answer, by the way. Okay. So I got this. I haven't heard from these people in years, man. This is so Terry. Cool. I went to school with Terry. She's a jazz trumpet player out in New York City.
Wow, all over the country. This is so cool.
She has Adelaide. I just watched your music video. I have to say it was very impressive. How do you find the energy to do a video and then go do a gig and then come home and write a tune and then do it all over again the next day?
Well, sometimes I don't do all of them at once. Some of the energy, like I said, is just like me being neurotic about unfinished business or a project. Like sometimes I can't sleep if a song isn't finished. Mm-hmm. Or if I have a video the next day, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to make sure this is done and this is done. And do I have all the clothes for this and this person? So part of it is just being nuts. And then eventually I'll hit this wall, like after a week, where I just disappear for an afternoon or a day. But another thing is too, like the music I do is energetic. It's happy. It's fun. So sometimes I'll be on a shoot and like right before action, I'm just like, eh. And they're like, action, as soon as the music, I'm like, and it just it flips on. And that's one of the reasons I do the music I do, is because it makes me feel good.
Awesome. I have a question for you. Hmm? So Adelaide, you're an educator. And now when someone in college comes up and says, Adelaide, I want to do what you do. Now, granted, the opportunities, again, post-COVID, some of those opportunities that you've done don't exist anymore, or they're cut down significantly, right? So if someone comes up to you and says, Adelaide, I want to do what you do, how do I go about doing that? And I think we covered that, but what is the first thing you tell them?
Well, and if they do what I do, it's like I do so many different things. So I'd be wanting to ask, like, well, what is it that you want to do? Do you want to play top 40 gigs? Do you want to play in symphony? Do you want to do all the different things? Blah, blah, blah. Once you figure that out, find out the areas where these things happen, where these scenes are. Then become a part of those scenes. Go to the gigs. Introduce yourself. Be like, hey, I play the trumpet. And maybe you're going to find them the opportunity to sit in. And then they're going to be like, hey, did you know this girl, she sat in on the trumpet the other day? And then your number starts getting passed around and blah, 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 blah. So, and then, like I said, learn the repertoire. You start to notice, hey, all these circles, they all kind of do this song, and then they do this song, and just educate yourself so that you come in there and you're usable.
Oh, cool. Let me ask you another question. This is actually a question my buddy John had too. How important is it to be? Okay, let me rephrase this. I read this wrong. In your opinion, what is more important, being a stellar player and being a nice person, or just being a person that does the job?
I think out of everything, I would separate just being a stellar person, and then you have to ask yourself, what is a stellar player? Is that someone that plays really high and fast and is really strong, or that someone that's dependable and plays the parts? So definitely I think being a stellar person involves you being a professional and being easy to work with. Yeah. Of course, everyone wants to be a badass player or a badass at what you do. So maybe it's not as important to be that person, but to strive to be that.
Yeah. And you live in a demographic that's very unforgiving. People have, especially in the film industry, it's very unforgiving. You mess up once and you're done. I think, Adelaide, and again, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, this has been so awesome.
But this is great. We talked so long.
No, let me ask your opinion on another thing, and I got two more questions. But let me ask your opinion on another thing. Being in LA, because LA is if you guys haven't worked LA, it's a totally different place than anywhere on the planet. It's a different world, and you have so much going on there. But Adelaide, let me ask you the question: have you ever lost your focus, and if so, what did you do to get it back?
Ooh, long-term focus or short-term focus, like on a gig?
Sure. Right? Short term. Right? Let's do for short term.
Short-term focus. Yeah, I mean, there's been times where if you work all the time, life's dramas are going to get in the way. And sometimes it's hard, like if you're at Disney and you're trying to be super happy and joyful, and maybe you just heard the worst news ever. Or, for example, in the Adelaide band, I can't call a sub. So there's been gigs where I'm like, oh my God, I'm sick with the flu and I'm throwing up in between things. But then I have to go back out and do the gig because there's nobody to sub. Yeah. So sometimes that's the hardest time to gain focus. And literally I'll have like another voice in the back of my head. It's like, come on, get it together. Like in that little coach, you just got to get through it. Yeah. Which is kind of crazy because sometimes I'm like singing in Spanish and then I have like this English voice at the same time. Like, like, wow. Yeah. Yeah. At the end of this whole interview, I think we're just coming to the conclusion that I'm a little nuts.
I don't think so. I think, in order to do what we do, you have to be a little crazy. But one thing also, let me talk about the consummate pro Adelaide is, and I just thought of this. Adelaide, when again I saw you with Bel Air Brass, you covered this up. Your hair was its original color, and no, it's like, and I think maybe Deb might have said, cover that up. I mean, you're like, hey, if that's what it takes, that's what I'll do. But when I see you on Santanetta, your hair was colored. This was good. I mean, exactly. But I mean, it's that type of professionalism. You're like, you didn't think twice about doing it. You're like, what does the gig require? That's what I'm going to do. And it, again, that takes a special type of person. Because
job, leave the ego. That's the whole leave the ego at the door thing. Plus, if I can put on a mariachi outfit, I can put on anything. Yeah, but how? I think it's stupid. Like if you're going to a job, lots of jobs have uniforms, so I don't know. Seems like a ridiculous thing to complain about if you have to dress a certain way.
Yeah. And also, I just thought of this too. When you did the Centenary gig, you actually were there as a trumpet player. And then I showed up, and you're like, I'll sing. That type of, no, that type of, hey, where do you need me? And you're like that type of musician. It doesn't matter. You could have gotten upset and left. You could have said, no, I'm playing the gig, F him, whatever. But you're like, I'm here. Where do you guys need me?
Yeah.
And that type of professionalism. Like
we're all on the same team. We should, when you're on a gig, you're all on the same team. So, and it's like and generally everyone's getting paid the same, so it's like, and there'll be some gigs where it's like, shoot, maybe I just sang 2 songs, and somebody's like, well, I want to sing all the songs. Right? Okay, cool. You're getting the pay, say the same, like do whatever you got to do. Like, so.
Right. I got 2 more questions. Is that cool?
Cool. I love these questions. It's just interesting to hear what people want to ask.
Okay. This is Juliet from Texas.
Hi, Texas.
Texas cool. In the house, right? So, Juliet asked, who was your major influences as a trumpet player?
Miles Davis is my favorite, hands down. I just space, coolness, melody, thought outside the box. Like, oh man, he's just so moving. Was also a big Lee Morgan fan. Yes, I think he's super melodic. I like his ideas, and I was a big fan of like his time period with Wayne Shorter.
Yeah.
And I'm a big Louis Armstrong fan, just because like if you don't love Louis, you must be a super dick, like whatever. Right? Like so he was just so happy and joyful, and it exceeded the whole trumpet soloing, idea. So probably those 3 guys were my first, and then of course Arturo. Like I love Arturo because he played Latin music, but like I said, I was never a lead player, so it was just like, yeah. And he's not like the warmest individual.
I don't know when you met him, but he was just on the thing, and he's the sweetest guy. Maybe
he's super nice, but like he's not like smiling and jumping like on stage like Louis is, so that's why I thought that. But then look at Miles, like he was like super angry on stage, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
It's cool. It's really cool. Yeah. If you ever have a chance to hang with Hefe, I say do it.
I'm sure.
So, but I got one more question. That's cool. Okay, so let me. Gosh, again, thank you guys for all these questions. I really appreciate this. Here's another question. This is from Tommy. Tommy's actually from Chicago. He asked, Joseph, I heard you talk about cell phones on stage, taking selfies while you're on the job. Adelaide, how do you feel when you see a musician with their cell phone out taking selfies or pictures when you're trying to work?
I know, right? Well, man, it's funny. It's like I can only say so much because I'm a culprit of taking some selfies too at times. And I have to take like 100 of them to get like a good one. I'm freaking terrible at taking selfies. But when I'm doing it, it's because, like I said, it's that whole social media game. Like, hey, we're on a gig. And, I just want, to keep that circulating.
Yeah.
Now, once you get the selfie done, boom, it should be over. I used to have a musician who would be taking videos on stage during the show. Like he would put it on his stand and he'd be playing like to it while we had an audience in front, and that ticked me off.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to just like snap in front of his face and be like, yo, you got an audience here. So I understand selfie for promotion, but when it gets to be like ridiculous, not a fan.
Yeah.
And if it's getting to the point where you're like missing cues and entrances and like stuff, nah. And especially when you're like at Disney and stuff, you can't even have, you don't want to even have your phones out. That looks really, really bad.
Yeah. I
But
know
if
that.
you're like at a bar or a club, everyone's kind of loose. But in most professional situations, you shouldn't have it on the stage.
Yeah.
But before or after.
Cool. Actually, I got two more. I mean, do you want to? I mean, I
Yeah,
don't.
let's do it. I have a
Over
gig.
time, I don't want to monopolize your time.
No, I have a gig. It's not for another 3 hours. So let's go.
All right. This is from Paula.
Mhm.
Paula says, Adelaide, I just saw your video. I really liked it a lot. You talked about being physically in good physical condition when you go to a place in LA. I am not that way. I am not a model, so to speak. Does that mean I will be excluded from a lot of gigs?
No, and in models, nothing. Okay, now maybe you don't have to shoot. You don't have to be thin. You don't have to be like super in shape. Maybe we should clarify this. What I mean more is like cleanliness. Make sure your hair is brushed. Make sure your shirt is not wrinkled. You know what I'm saying? Like be big, like thick is in. Like thank God. So I don't think you need to look like a model, but there is a way to present yourself with confidence.
Yeah.
There's a way to stand straight. There is a way to dress like, hey, I care about what I look like when I walk outside the door.
Right.
When you do that, when you look like you think high of yourself, and I'm not saying like ego, but when you look like you respect yourself, people are going to most likely respect you a little bit more.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think you won't get a gig if you look like a model. Shoot, and I was even saying this the other day with all these videos I'm making, I'm having the hardest time because I have to find guys to be it, like models and actors. And I was like, I don't hang out with like these beautiful people. I'm like, I'm a musician. Like we're artists. We're not models at all.
Yeah.
So I'm actually struggling to find people like that. And but yeah, so I think let's clarify. You don't need to be a model, but you need to be presentable. You need to look like you respect yourself.
Awesome. Well, Paula, there you go. So I got one more. This is from Brian. Brian's out of the Bay Area, San Francisco, California. He asks, Adelaide, what are three things that you attribute your success to? I don't even think. I mean, I wouldn't even say three. Just I would say, Adelaide, what do you attribute your success to?
One thing major is I had parents who instilled a really good work ethic in me, and they were parents that were like, you can do whatever you want to do, but you need to work hard.
Yeah.
And I think that was the most important thing to do. When nothing comes easy, you shouldn't expect anything. No one is entitled to anything. So I think that's definitely the success. And what I do this because I love it. I don't want to be on stage because I want attention. I want to be on stage making amazing music, like creating something and feeling the vibe between the band and feeling the vibe between the audience and all of us coming together for something that feels so good. So, and I love that. It's like a drug to me. So I think coming from the right place. Oh no, coming am I back? Sorry.
You're back. You're back.
Coming from the right place with good intentions and with hard work is I guess I would like to think it's the key to success. It's like you always want to think that the good guy is going to win, but I mean it doesn't always work. Sometimes it's just knowing who you are, like the right person and being in the right place at the right time. And that's so frustrating because you can't control that.
Yeah. Adelaide, I got two more questions. I mean, here, okay, guys. Here's the thing, just disclaimer. Again, we're over time, but I don't want to take. We're over time, but I'm sure if you ask Adelaide, if you friend her on Facebook and ask her, she's so approachable. She's so cool. I'm sure.
Y'all hit me up. We just be chilling during COVID, like.
So, and then too, if Adelaide, I'm sure you'll see the comments on my page, and then you can answer them accordingly if there's any more questions. But here's a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
This is from. Oh, okay. Weird. I'll just ask the question. What do you think? Okay. What?
Now you got me nervous.
No. I'm trying to make heads or tails of it because sometimes there's typos. So
okay.
okay. What do you think? What do you think post-COVID the music business is going? Where do you think the music business is going?
I know that's the question everyone's asking right now. And it's super scary because no one has the answer. I mean, I was hoping that work was going to come back at least by the holidays, but it's not going to be even steady by the holidays.
Yeah.
And then we were already struggling with the whole like social media and influencers really dominating, like how many views you have on your TikTok, dominating who's getting record deals. And then that's even being magnified even more now. It seemed like if you were really still wanting to make music, live shows was like kind of becoming the saving grace of that.
Yeah.
And those are disappearing. I have no freaking clue. And I wish someone would tell me. So,
good answer.
Somebody out there has the answer.
Yeah. If you have the answer, just comment below.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Susie, it's great to hear from you, Susie. She's in Orlando, Florida. Adelaide, what equipment do you use, trumpet wise?
Okay, I'm pretty simple. I never wanted to use too much equipment because I feel like it's like a black hole into the equipment world.
Yeah.
That's why I don't play anything electric. Well, I had an old Bach. I think it was like a 71 or a 73 Bach, but it officially died about a year ago. So I just bought the new Z2.
Oh, nice. The Bobby Shoe, yeah.
Yeah. I like it. I like what a big open sound it gives me when I'm on and in shape. But I do find that it doesn't have as much forgiveness as my Bach. So that, and then even my mouthpiece, like I've switched mouthpieces around and I've gone back to the mouthpiece I started on in 6th grade. I just stick with my 3C, I play high enough on it for what I need to do. And I never really go above a high E. Like I said, I'm not a lead player.
Yeah.
But I can still get those notes out on the 3C. And it still gives me a fat tone.
Yeah.
Like I'm more into tone and melody, I think, than stuff. But it also feels really nice and flexible. So I'm digging it. Equipment wise, that's pretty much all my equipment.
I got another question.
Uh-huh.
This is from Barbara. I'm getting a lot of these questions from. Adelaide, I'm being honest with you. I've had numerous female guests. And this is the most female questions I've had ever.
Yeah, ladies, I love it.
This is from Barbara.
I'm always about woman power.
Love it. I guess you're bringing them out. That's awesome. So Barbara asks, Adelaide, do you have an album out where you're just playing trumpet?
No, I don't. Reflexiones de mi mente was my album that I put out last year, and all that has, I think I have 3 or 4 trumpet solos on various songs, and then I'm playing a horn on some horn section stuff.
Yeah.
And then I had an album before that called Como Será that was mostly arrangements of covers, and same deal, like some horn lines and like maybe 3 or 4 solos.
Is that something you might do in the future, maybe?
I'm thinking about it. It's crazy because I've been releasing all these different songs and such, and I've been getting a lot of feedback from my more like Latin jazzier stuff that does have the trumpet stuff. I'm probably going to get into that more, especially I always figure that will be a great fallback, like when I'm in like older and I can't compete with all the little hot girls in their 20s, like I'll just become a smooth jazz artist.
Well, I noticed oh gosh, her name but she's Jeff Jarvis's wife.
Oh,
Yeah,
Tamoka.
she's an amazing player.
I
I
love
think you guys would do an
Tamoka.
amazing album together.
Yes, in fact, we keep anytime that I have an excuse to use Tamoka on a gig, I get her on it. And we've been talking like we gotta figure out some cool project. And she's also how I got that clothing sponsor was because she was sponsored by them, and I guess they like girl horn players. But yeah, Tamoka's a bad girl.
She's a great player, and I think adding to that, I would love to maybe see you guys do something in the future. Guys, we are 15 minutes over time, but Adelaide, thank you so much for spending this time with us, and thank you so much for answering the questions. Guys, check out Adelaide on her. Adelaide, you can you give us your website again?
Yeah, so my website's a little outdated. I got to update it, but it's AdelaideTheBand.com. But what I'm really trying to push right now is my YouTube channel, which is Adelaide Pilar Music, because I'm putting all my videos there. I think we got about 6 or 7 original videos. We got performances. I'm really trying to get more views on my original music. So if you like it, share it. Like, there's all kinds of different style of stuff. I'm hoping you can find something you like. And then same thing with my Instagram, Adelaide Pilar Music, because these record companies just want to know how many Instagram followers I have and YouTube views. So
right. Can you do me a favor when we finish up here? Can you, because this is streamed on my personal page, but can you just put the link down so people can refer to it? And and again, guys, I can't say this enough. Adelaide is like the nicest person, and she's very approachable. I'm sure if you went to her and you wanted to get a singing lesson or a trumpet lesson, she would be more than willing to help you. Or if you had any questions about the business, she's the most approachable person and nicest person you'll probably meet. So
that's nice of you to say.
I mean,
you haven't met me when I'm hungry.
You get real hangry.
So. Yeah.
So, Adelaide, it's been a lot of fun, and I want to thank you again for joining us. Thank you all for joining us live, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, Adelaide.
Thank you. Okay.
Bye.
See y'all later.